If you're like me and you get unnecessarily anxious before running a session, let me be the first to tell you that it never goes away. But there are things you can do to help. Preparation is often the enemy of anxiety. Doing things to feel prepared, feel capable, and confident can help quell that voice telling you things are going to go horribly wrong. Generic session prep is obviously great for running a better session, but I have a preparation checklist I built specifically to combat my pre-session anxiety. In the culinary sphere, there's a term for an important step when preparing to cook a meal: mise en place. Mise en place. Mise en place. It's some French shit. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I tried. I have a very thick accent, so I can hardly ever say anything right. Yes, that's an accent. I don't want to see any "you don't even have an accent" comments, because that's bullshit. You've been indoctrinated by media to think the general American accent is nothingness, but whenever I go to say something that isn't American English, my mouth trips up and shouts, "Go USA!" No matter how hard I try, I always end up saying it like an American fuck. You know what that is? That's an accent. A thick accent.
Mise en place. Mise en place.
Mise en place often gets translated to everything in its place. And that's exactly what's important here, having everything in its place. Much like how a chef will want to get all their knives, cutting boards, spices, ingredients, pots, pans, utensils out and on the counter before they start cooking, you want to get all your DMing stuff set up before you run. Make sure that everything is exactly in its place, right where you want it to be. Put up your DM screen, pull out your dice, and any accessories you use with them. Have your notes within reach. If you're running a combat, get your minis ready to go and grab your stat blocks, be they printed out or tagged pages in a book that you keep with the rest of your rule books. Do you like having a candle in the middle of the table? Throw it up there and grab a lighter. Is the only thing you use to run a session a single piece of scrap paper? That's fine. I'm not telling you to get a bunch of stuff out. I'm telling you to grab whatever it is you do use and have it ready to go. So get your scrap paper, get a pencil, and place it right where you want it to be. If you're running digital games, mise en place still applies. Bring up your VTT, make sure your maps are ready. Pull out your stat blocks. Open up any tabs you need, any documents you want. Sharing pictures with your players? Pull those up so you don't have to find them mid-session. If you play music, get your music system ready to go. The point of this step is to get it done ahead of time. That way you can feel prepared. Everything is in its place and you can see it there. It's out. It's done. That step is done, and now you can mentally move on. I typically begin my mise en place whenever I start feeling anxious. I'll get it out of the way at least an hour before the session, sometimes way more, because it acts as a reminder that I am prepared, and also it gives me plenty of time to double and triple check that I'm not forgetting anything. Eat, you idiot, and get a drink too. I often get hyper-focused while I'm DMing, and I'll forget to do basic things while I'm prepping, like eating and drinking. So I think it's important to get all your snacks out and in eyesight, or within arm's reach, before you start a session. And eating a full meal is just good advice whenever you're feeling any kind of stress. Read your notes. Okay, this is an obvious one that goes without saying, but it kind of doesn't. I cannot tell you the number of times I simply did not read my notes before a session for no reason. I was just caught up in the feeling of my anxiety and forgot. If you're feeling stressed, listen to that mental signal and take some action. Don't ignore it, do something about it. It's easy to let the basics slip when you've been doing this for 10 or more years, so actually do it. And try to read your notes in a way that's productive. What I mean by that is two things. One, read with intent to recall the information. Focus on the task. Don't read your notes passively with your mind drifting off elsewhere. Sit down and go over the information like a brief bit of studying before a test. It shouldn't feel like work, that's not my point, but it should feel like an action you're taking to inform yourself and ease your stress. Secondly, I mean you should go over your notes at the right time. This will be different for everyone, of course, but in general, most people are best off doing a task like this within a few hours of the session itself. This lets the information stay fresh in your mind and helps tell that anxious voice in your head that you are, in fact, capable of DMing a game for your friends. I find I run best if I read my notes between an hour to half an hour of people showing up. Do you know how you're going to start your next session? Usually it's on the DM to get the ball rolling, and that can come with a pressure. I'll have this feeling that there's an expectation to fulfill, to initiate the session and get everyone up to speed and into the D&D headspace. And if we can't get there, then it's solely my fault. It's definitely not a responsibility that's shared amongst the players. This isn't something my friends are actually holding me to, but fell into pieces. That wasn't supposed to happen. What the fuck was I saying? Now I'm crouched up. Let me get a chair. Oh, my knee. Oh, no. This isn't something my friends are actually holding me to, but we aren't exactly dealing with logic here. So I like to at least have a rough idea as to how I'm going to start my session so I can write it down and get the lingering thought out of my head. Typically, I start by going over my previous session's recap. I usually write those as soon as we stop playing, that way it's super fresh in my mind, but if I forgot to do that at the end of last session, I can do that now. If you don't write down things like recaps, that's absolutely fine. The goal here is to reflect on where you last left off. Doing so naturally leads me into the questions that need answered for starting the session. Namely, does the recap end off with the players needing to take action? Such as, were the PCs in the middle of doing something that means they're already leading the story? Or, another example, did we stop right as combat started? If the answer is yes, then the only thing I need to start a session is to read the players my recap, because the recap itself will put us on the right road and I can take it from there, ready to run a fight or bounce off my players' choices. But if the recap doesn't lead my players immediately into the action, and the ball is still in the DM's court, then I like to have a game plan. I'll spend time thinking about how I can pull that roller coaster up and over the initial big hump, asking, what do I need to do to get to a story point where I can pass the ball to my players? For instance, the last session I ran, my players were stuck waiting to hijack a speeding train that had already been hijacked by a rival gang. The point that lets me pass the ball over to my players is probably going to be when that train is close enough for them to jump onto it. So, I'll take some time and think about how I'll describe everything leading up to that point. The stillness and anticipation while they wait, how the train looks as it's approaching in the distance very rapidly, and what they might see and feel while it's zooming by, and how they only have a moment to act before it's already gone. And there I have it. That is all I need. A brief period of time mulling over the few steps I'll take to set my players up to grab the reins. I don't write these thoughts down in full, I just jot down bullet points. I like the details to remain in the abstract, sitting in the recesses of my mind, just waiting to be called upon when I need them. But if it works better for you, write it out in full. Write it out in some capacity. It can really help anxiety to get the thoughts out of your head and stuck down on a physical page. Well, I was hoping to have my DM screen set up in this next shot, but guess I'm calling an audible, so I'm on the floor now. What happens when we get to that point and the players still struggle to take the reins? Maybe my intro wasn't as good of a hook as I thought it was going to be, or maybe the players just aren't there yet. I've always felt like the real D&D starts about 30 minutes into the session, once we've all shaken off the dust and fallen into our groove. So when I hand my players the wheel, and we're all still getting rid of our rust, I can't exactly be surprised when they don't take off with the game. So I like to prepare 1 or 2 Firestarters. What's a Firestarter? A Firestarter is anything you can do to give those players an extra push to sink their teeth into the game and get moving on their own. It's something you already do all the time, I'd bet. You know those moments when a player is stuck and doesn't quite know what to do, so you come in and add in some extra details or an action that helps get their motor running. let's say my train hijackers have the train approach and they just don't do anything for some reason. To help give them a fire starter, maybe I'll describe a ladder on the back of the train that seems like an easy target, an easy area to jump onto, or one of the rival gang members who is on the train starts taking a shot at them, something of the sort, just to kick them into action. A common fire starter is reminding players of plans they had. Last session, one of my players said they were going to use their grappling hook, and if they forget, that's an easy fire starter to prod them about. Hey, you got a grappling hook. If that rival gang starts a fight, or they find an easy area to get on the train, or remember what their previous plans are, it will give them a better sense of direction. And that's all you need to start moving forward. Usually I'm good at improvising this kind of thing mid-session, but at the beginning of the game, I'm also shaking off my DMing dust. So I've struggled in the past to give sessions that early momentum they desperately need. Having a few fire starters planned out helps a lot. I don't have to worry about improvising as much if I keep a few ideas on me. If I have a few fire starters planned out that are just in my back pocket, ready to go for those first 10 minutes of play. Preparing fire starters lets me get comfortable first, which really helps ease my anxiety about starting the night off correctly. Oh shit. People started showing up. Your friends are here now. Get off of me. Now this is the point in time where I let everything go. I wipe my hands of all preparation regardless as to how prepared I feel, and I hang out with my friends. This is gonna sound dumb to some of you, but there are people out there, myself very much included, that need to be reminded the point of having fun is to have fun. That the game I play in large part as an excuse to see my friends and enjoy their company is indeed a time when I should be enjoying their company. Getting an extra 10 minutes of session prep is not important enough to get in the way of that. And 10 minutes of prep probably isn't gonna help you anyway. So take this time to focus on the fun, actively. But this isn't just about having fun for having fun's sake. It's actually quite effective in getting me to run a better game. Because if I'm having fun, I perform better. People who like their job do a better job at it. Shocking, I know. Focusing on your friends, on the game, and being in the moment lets you have fun, which can be relaxing, which makes it way easier to DM a good session. And if I'm DMing a good session, why the hell am I so anxious? These are the steps I take, but everyone's different. So if you're gonna make your own list, I implore you to think about what it is in DMing that makes you feel anxious. For me, it's usually a form of performance anxiety, not about getting into character, but about running a smooth session. I get anxious that the session's gonna be bad because of me, and it's all my fault, and I had my friends drive here and take hours out of their busy schedules just to have a shit time. That's the voice I need to address, so that's what my list is tailored to. But if your anxiety comes from a different place, then you're gonna have to tweak your steps to tackle your unique issues. Say you're nervous about doing an accent or character voices. Maybe it would help to take 10 minutes to warm your vocal cords up, or spend a little bit of time practicing voices before a session, something like that. Nothing will keep you from experiencing any anxiety at all. Probably. The goal here is to minimize the anxiety as much as we can. That way, you give it less attention and you can put that attention elsewhere. Like, on anything. Anything else at all. You could even put that attention straight towards my Patreon. I've already captivated the likes of Jaso Queso, Nolan Widmer, Duncan Cunny, Cody Jones, Drifter Star, and Grant Breeze. With these people wrapped around my finger, I am on the road to make better quality content more frequently. Over on the Patreon, mid-tier members are getting access to exclusive updates every single week about where I'm at with content creation. And highest tier members get access to a new monster stat block at the end of each month. This month, I'm releasing a spellcasting dryad that can meld herself with a walking tree to use it as a living suit of armor and a massive beat stick. Basically, it's a botanical mech suit, which is awesome. So I'm kind of great at this. Probably the best DM there's ever been. Best designer you've ever seen. Honestly, I'm above this. Why am I talking to you? Ugh.